Configure network devices. This is the topology. PCA, S1, and R1. Addressing table, the devices are R1, S1, and PCA having their own IP addresses, subnet mask, and default gateway. For the objectives of this experiment is to configure basic device settings, configure the router for SSH access, configure the switch for SSH access, and lastly, SSH from the CLI on the switch. For required resources, we need one router, one switch, one PC, console cable, and Ethernet cables as shown in the topology. So let's copy this topology. So let's add router, switch, and one PC. Then rename PCA S1 R1. Then cable the network as shown in the topology. Pass Ethernet 0 to FO6. Then FO5 to 001. Initialize and reload the router and switch. First, let's connect ART-S232 to console. Console into the router and enable privilege exec mode. Enter the configuration mode. Let's go to PC A. Let's go to PC, desktop, terminal, click OK. Then enable config t hostname R1 no IP domain lookup line con 0 password Cisco login exit line VTY 015 password Cisco login exit, then service password encryption banner MOTD authorized access only exit, then show IP interface brief, then let's add config t int g001 IP add 192.168.1.1 description R1 IPv4 address, then no shutdown exit show run enter no interface no IP address, then copy run start, then okay, copy run start, yeah. Then for the step 4, configure PCA. Configure PCA with an IP address and subnet mask. Configure a default gateway for PCA. So desktop IP configuration, then IP address before 192.168.1.3, subnet mask 255, default gateway 1. Then step 5, save the running configuration. Verify network connectivity. Ping R1 from PCA. So PCA command prompt ping R1. So ping 192.168.1. Okay, so exit. Part 2. Configure the router for SSH access. Using Telnet to connect to a network device is a security risk because all the information is transmitted in a clear text format. SSH encrypts the session data and provides device authentication, which is why SSH is recommended for remote connection. In this part, you will configure the router to accept SSH connection over the BTY lines. So, step 1. The device name and domain are used as part of the crypto key when it is generated. For these names must be entered prior to issuing the crypto key command. So, let's go back to PCA. Then, terminal. Okay. Then, let's type line config p. Then, IP domain name ccnalab.com. Then, crypto key generate RSA. So, 1024 username admin secret admin then line VTY015 transport input SSH login local exit. To save the startup, let's exit. Then copy run start. Then okay. So in step 6, establish an SSH connection to the router. Start TeraTerm from PCA, establish an SSH session to R1, use the username admin, password admin, password. You should be able to establish an SSH session in with R1. So let's go to PC, then go to Telnet, then hostname admin, username admin, hostname is 192.168.1.1, then password admin. In part 3, you will configure the switch to accept SSH connection. After the switch has been configured, establish an SSH session using TeraTerm. So, exit, go to switch, CLI, then enable config p hostname S1, no IP domain lookup, enable secret plus line con 0, then password Cisco, login, exit, then line VTY015, password Cisco, then login, exit, service password encryption, banner MOTD, authorized access only, banner MOTD authorized, then exit, show IP in brief, then so we can see that VLAN 1 is down, so now let's configure it. And this one, VLAN 1 unassigned and down. So config t in VLAN 1 IP add 192.168.1.11, S1 IP v4 no shutdown and IP default bit. Then Then for the part 2, we will be using the same command. Then ipconfig t, then ip domain name sysnalab.com, then crypto key generate RSA 1024 bits. Then configure local database username admin secret admin, then line vty 015 transport input ssh login local exit copy run start. Okay. Now let's establish an SSH connection to the switch. Let's go to PCA, go to Telnet, hostname 192.168.111, admin, then password admin. So we were able to establish SSH connection to the switch. And in part 4, the SSH client is built into the Cisco IOS and can be run from the CLA. In part 4, you will SSH the router from the CLA on the switch. So password is ADM1 and capital P at 55. Then enable class SSH negative admin19. To return the switch prompt, just press Ctrl Shift 6, release, then press X. To return to we need to press enter a second time to see the router. To see the router CLA prompt. Then, in question, how would you provide multiple users, each with their own username access to a network device? By adding each other username and password to the local database using the username command.